let's go ahead and transition us to our next success story. So again, these are just examples of people who have done really interesting things with LibreTexts, just to share what they've done. So next on our list is, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Please correct me if I get it wrong. Janét Hund. Are they here? I think
I am here. Yes, it's Janét Hund.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here and present our success story for our LibreText book. Is it okay if I share screen?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. Get to that. All right. So, well, I have been a sociology instructor at Long Beach City College for the past 25 years. And we wanted to find a textbook that we could use in a class called Race and Ethnic Relations in the US. And as I was looking online at the open source textbooks, could not find one. And so we started off with like a local grant at our college to kind of put together resources on our Canvas page. And then the statewide Senate grant came up. And so we thought, well, let's do this. So our book was a collaborative project working with 6 faculty across 3 different colleges. And I'm going to kind of just show you how to get access to our book. You would go through campus bookshelves, and clicking from there, you would find it under Long Beach City College. It's one of the 2 texts that looks like we offer. And so our book is called Race and Ethnic Relations in the US, an Intersectional Approach. And so we actually created this book, again, collaboratively with 6 sociology faculty, a few here from Long Beach City College, one from Rancho Santiago, and one from Cerritos College. And it was a lot of work to put this together, but it was extremely rewarding to be able to have a current textbook. I'm going to start to show you the text, but you can kind of see our intro here, listing some of what I'm saying here. We wanted to put a particular emphasis on social justice and intersectionality in every chapter. And so we pretty much were successful in doing that. And we have, it's current data. We haven't worked on this since last year, but I know it's accessible that we can update as we need to see fit. But as we put our text together, we definitely accessed from the LibreText library, some of the books that we pulled from there, but we use lots of resources online, and so every chapter has a list of our references that were used. So kind of just showing you the thumbnails from here, we actually have 12 chapters in our textbook. And then we've got some ancillary materials that I will talk about. I thought it would just kind of take us a little bit through our chapter 1. And by the way, we worked with the other 5 faculty. We each took 2 chapters. So we each kind of took the lead on writing or putting content into the chapters. And then we would have one of our faculty that would kind of be the editor, the reviewer of our chapters. And so that's pretty much how we worked. And again, it was a lot of work, but I think we were definitely happy to get to the end and be able to use this in our courses. So just to give you a little flavor of our textbook. So we've got our chapter 1, we've got 6 sections, and mostly in our final section of every textbook, that's kind of where we have some focus on intersectionality and social justice. So if we kind of just look through our first chapter, again, we were working on this amidst the protest against the killing of George Floyd. And so that kind of was something that was central to the beginning and throughout, and definitely the end of our textbook. You know, but of course, well, we again pulled a lot from the works from other LibreTexts and other open source text. You know, we had to be careful with all of our pictures that we included, that they were open access, open resource materials, and had to note that accordingly. As we go through the chapter, we had these little boxes where we called them thinking sociologically. And so it was kind of an opportunity for students to pause through the content. And, you know, this could be used for an assignment in a class to ask students to answer one or all of these questions about what they're reading about and how can they make sense of that personally. We've highlighted, bolded the concepts that we have for glossary, which I think is still something we haven't actually put together, but that we'd like to. At the end of the chapters, we either included a key takeaway section or a, I think we called it something different in some chapters, depending on what we felt comfortable with, you know, a conclusion or a key takeaway section. So I'm going to kind of run through the next couple of parts of chapter 1. I'm going to go into to section 3 in chapter 1. Again, in addition to incorporating pictures, we also were able to put charts and tables in here. Also videos. I bought this section, it had a video one. Yes, I even employed my children to work on some of our graphics here. And so they're pretty impressed to be able to find themselves online. Let's see. Okay, yeah, just, you know, an example of embedding videos into the textbook. I think our students have really appreciated that, how current our book is and accessible it is. Again, you know, our thinking sociologically aspect. Let's see, maybe I want to go back and just kind of share also our ancillary materials, because our chapters kind of have the, you know, similar themes throughout. Our ancillary materials, we've got PowerPoint presentations. Hopefully you're seeing that screen in front of you right now. It's our 13. So when you click on the PowerPoint presentations, you've got links to all of our chapters, these PowerPoints that you can clearly download and, you know, modify them as you see fit. And then we have the text test banks for every chapter. Again, I guess we ended up, did we put, I guess we did, we put it all together, but if you click on the test bank, okay. Looks like it's a Word doc, but I think you can, it's separated out by each chapter that way. So those are some of our ancillary materials. You know, I just think maybe I will stop sharing. I can share more through the textbook if you like, or if anybody has any questions, but I think for us, it's been a great success story. I have received many emails from my current students, like super appreciative that it's a free textbook, super appreciative that it's current. You know, it's not, you know, they're not looking at this, you know, writing that didn't include, you know, the last couple of years of our lives, which have obviously affected everybody in so many different ways. But I do know it's being used also at a variety of campuses. From time to time, I'll get an email from a faculty member who wants to learn more about it. And we hosted an event on campus. We brought in a guest speaker from Fullerton College last spring, And she was speaking on the topic of intersectionality, and she told me that she's adopting this textbook for her social justice studies introductory course. So it's definitely suitable for a social justice or a race and ethnic relations course in sociology. Looks like there might be some questions on the chat. Yeah, so the CID for the course where this text is used, it's the race and ethnic relations class in sociology. I can't remember what the CID number is for that, but it's also cross-listed for social justice studies. So, and if that question was, I'm not sure if that question was to me, is the test bank in Canvas. I'm not sure if that's for me or not, but that we don't have our test bank in Canvas. It was a Word document that you would find in the LibreText. That kind of reminded me of something I wanted to share. And that was, let me see if I can.
I did bring it into Adapt. I'm just pulling it up right now.
And I just wanted to show, let me share another screen here with you, that we can easily put this into our Canvas modules. You can see this is a class I taught last spring. And so in our welcome module, it's just listed there as a URL link there. So click on textbook and it takes you right into the textbook. And, students don't have to, create an account or anything with LibreText. They just click on it and go right into the textbook that I've been showing you. I think there's a question. Mohammed, I think you had a question.
Sorry. I think you partly answered the question. The question was about the test bank. So is it open that the student can go there and practice, or is it you only keep it for faculty, and how you manage that?
That is a good question. Whenever I was trying to access it, Delmar, you might be able to answer that question better than me.
So I think I may or may not have mentioned to you that like a handful of months ago, I actually moved it into Adapt. We converted it to auto grading. So the link was pasted in the chat. And just like all questions in Adapt right now, students don't get access to either the question or the answer or the solution, which would be a worked up discussion behind it. So that's the situation of how we are hosting that right now. The other ancillary materials will be hosted in the Commons and Conductor, and probably in the next day or two, because we're just expanded its scope in order to handle documents instead of just handling links to LibreText off of that. But the key point is that you can use it now, just like you could with any of the other questions that are in the Commons and in Adapt, and it's auto graded and ready to rock. So there you go, Janét. I didn't tell you I did that, but we did do that. So
good to know. Thanks. So yeah, I don't have anything else to add, but if anyone has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer any questions.
there's something I'd like to point out that I really thought was exciting about your work, and that was how contemporary it was. I mean, it seemed like that there was, minutes, days or so delay from something being released of importance for involving an intersection between racism and sociology, which is unfortunately far too common these days, and that it seems to be wired into your book from a discussion, last year when I saw the George Floyd conversations, and there were a few other things I saw in there, COVID and other things that were just, right on the verge. And it's because you can actually use OER in general, whether it's on LibreText or not, in order to be able to provide far more public, far more current issues. And that's really great.
Right. And so kind of just to piggyback on that. So looking at our chapter 12 of the textbook, and we call it Policies and Future of Race and Ethnic Relations, and kind of just taking you a little bit through this one. You know, we again circled back to the topic of the George Floyd murder in our final chapter. All of us working in the community colleges should be up to speed, hopefully up to speed on the topic of equity, but you know, we put that in our textbooks. That's not typically been in a textbook that you would use for a race and ethnic relations course. Going into like our other sections, we had a section there on affirmative action, again, trying to bring that up to speed about like where the court cases are on affirmative action. One of our chapters was on reparations. I don't think we've linked anything on here to what's happened in California, but we should update that part of, you know, with the committee that's basically studying how to enact reparations in the state of California. You know, but definitely we did our best to link to contemporary social justice issues, immigration, the future of race and ethnic relations. We had updated this content from the 2020 census. So, you know, to Delmar's point, you know, trying to make this, you know, actually, yeah, current as opposed to super outdated, I guess. You know, one of the big questions for us will be to maintain currency on this, that, you know, I'm looking at this now and seeing places where we should be updating. I was just going to trying to take you back to our chapter 11, which was on the topic of social movements. I can take us back there. Contemporary social movements, and then you can kind of see the ones that are highlighted here. Again, one section focused on immigrant rights, another one focused on Black Lives Matter, and again with, you know, currency about where things were as of last year with the Black Lives Matter movement, Indigenous sovereignty and environmental justice. You know, definitely some content there. Pretty recent content about the Standing Rock resistance from North Dakota. And then, of course, a chapter on white nationalism. Again, to Delmar's point, you know, a lot of times our soc texts are just a few years outdated. And this is, you know, definitely kind of in our daily lived experiences with what's been developing with white nationalism, even a section there on the January 6th insurrection in the 11.5 section. So, and then, you know, intersectionality and social justice was pretty much consistently covered in the final section of every chapter. So, you know, and I have to say, Delmar, I've actually just moved into a dean position. And so I'm looking at this text, and you know, it'll be important for this to be updated as I'm talking about, as I'm looking here, that, you know, because we did such a great job of that through last year, and I can already see we need to hopefully make some improvements on that even as of this year.
You know, the thumbnails you have on your book are sort of default thumbnails. If you want specific thumbnails for each chapter that addresses the issues of the chapter, it's relatively simple in order to upload that picture and such. I just didn't do it when I was going over your book. And
yeah,
I
don't think we had that even discussion amongst ourselves. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So just contact me and I can show you how to go about doing it. It's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Is that addressing Rachel's question about the figures that are not displaying correctly for her?
No, I don't think so. I need to see the link to it, and it's going to take a little bit of time for me to parse through it. And so the one aspect that that's an issue that many people don't get is if you take an image from a website and you like CNN and you copy it and you paste it from the text to text from browser to browser, what you do is you're generating a hot link. So you're not actually storing the image on our site. You're really storing a link to go to the site. So one of our publishing protocols is to make it so if anyone hot links images, it then makes it native so that if the source goes down, your book doesn't go down. I'm guessing that's what that is, but I need to see the page in order to those are look at. So.
And it looks like there's another question from V about how long it takes to approve from the moment you submit a request to approve it and to publish. I'm not sure if that is through the approval process you're talking about through LibreTexts or at the college level. Not quite sure.
I think they're talking about within LibreText from the terminology. And the answer to that is it depends upon how good your book is structured and such. And so we're going through and making sure that it follows the general organization. If it needs lots of love, then it takes a little bit more time. If it doesn't need any love, it's just a few buttons and a few checks, and then we move it over. So it can happen within a day, or it can happen within a handful of days.
And as I remember, it seems like as we were working on our text, we could even use that. I think we used it in the fall of 2020 locally. Maybe it was the spring of 2021 that we used locally before we had it like ready for it to be used statewide. So, you know, I think that there's some kind of transition processes that can happen. That's what I have to share, and it was definitely a pleasure. A lot of work. I was happy to have completed it and work with so many people, great people on the project. So I certainly encourage collaboration, so it's not such an overwhelming task.
Thank you very much. It's a beautiful resource and beautiful presentation.